Today, there are so many good options on the used EV market, and especially if you're looking at a practical three-row SUV, there are several excellent choices that serve very different purposes. We have the rugged Rivian R1S. This thing can ford through 3 feet of water, and I apparently have a lot of faith in its air suspension system. Next up is the Tesla Model X, and its doors could probably serve as a mechanical engineer's PhD dissertation. And finally, we have the insanely luxurious Kia EV9. Seriously, the second row seats back here are ventilated and reclining. We also got a full-blown table back here. I feel like the king of Eswatini, yet I'm in a Kia SUV. And today, we're gonna put all 3 of these electric SUVs head to head to see which one is the best overall option. Before we start today's video, my name is Andrew Lambrecht. I'm a project engineer here at Ever, and I'm also a contributor at Inside EVs and Business Insider covering electric vehicles. If you're new to the brand, we are Ever, America's largest independent EV store. Whether you're looking at buying an EV or selling your current one, we offer an inventory of hundreds of electric vehicles. If you'd like to sell your current EV, visit evercars.com and get a cash offer in minutes. That is evercars.com. No haggling, no pressure. Now let's jump into the comparison. Our first contender is the Rivian R1S. Specifically for this video, we're going to be focusing on the 2022 through 2024 model year, and these fall within the $60,000 to $70,000 price range. This particular one is a 2024 Rivian R1S with the quad motor configuration. This one has 9,000 miles on the odometer and is priced just above $70,000. On paper, we get a 135 kilowatt hour battery pack, an EPA range of 321 miles, and 835 horsepower thanks to 4 electric motors. The R1S has a peak charging rate of 220 kilowatts, and with this quad motor configuration, it can sprint to 60 in 3 seconds. This whole package is pretty hefty, and this SUV weighs in at 6,722 pounds. Next up is the Model X, and these have gotten to become pretty good deals recently, especially the late 2021 and newer, which is this updated refreshed design. These are priced within the $45,000 to $55,000 range depending on miles, and this particular one has 55,000 miles and is priced at under $50,000. For these newer Model X's, you either get long range or plaid, and this one is a long range. This vehicle has an EPA range of 348 miles thanks to a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. It produces 670 horsepower thanks to 2 electric motors, delivering a 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds. The Model X has a peak charging rate of 250 kilowatts, and it weighs in at 5,185 pounds, making it our lightest contender. This particular one is a 2022 model year, so unfortunately you won't get hardware 4 on this one. Our final contender is the 2024 Kia EV9 GT line. This is the highest spec trim, and these prices range from around $45,000 to $50,000 on the used market. This particular one is priced at $49,000 with around 19,000 miles on the odometer. We get a 99.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, delivering an EPA range of 270 miles. Thanks to 2 electric motors, we get 379 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of around 5 seconds. This whole package weighs in at 5,886 pounds, and we get a 240 kilowatt peak charging rate. And with the tech specs out of the way, now let's dive into each of these vehicles' capabilities and designs. In terms of its overall capabilities, the Rivian R1S has a standard ground clearance of 11 inches, and thanks to standard air suspension, it can increase to 14.9 in the highest setting. We get up to 35.8 degrees of an approach angle, and this R1S can wade through up to 3 feet of water. If you're lucky enough to find a Rivian R1S with the all-terrain package, then you will get a reinforced underbody shield, but rest assured that all Gen 1 Rivian R1Ss with the quad motor powertrain have a 7,700 pound towing capacity. The R1S isn't particularly aerodynamic, having a 0.297 drag coefficient, though it is respectable for a vehicle of its caliber. The R1S measures in at 200.8 inches long, making it the longest SUV in this comparison. Next up is the Model X, and it's the least SUV out of all these other SUVs. We get 6.5 inches of ground clearance. Just like the Rivian, we do have air suspension, but this can only increase to 8.1 inches. We get an approach angle of 17.9 degrees, which frankly isn't that much. Still, the Model X has an impressive towing capacity of 5,000 pounds, and it measures in at 199.1 inches. The Model X's most impressive feat is its drag coefficient. It has a drag coefficient of just 0.24 CD, making it the most aerodynamic three-row SUV on the market. Finally, we have the Kia EV9. This comes with a ground clearance of 7.8 inches, and the suspension is on steel springs, so it is not adjustable. We get 20 degrees of approach angle and a 5,000 pound towing capacity matching that of the Model X. Its drag coefficient is a respectable 0.28, and it measures in at 197.2 inches long, making it the shortest car in our comparison. While beauty is in the eye of the beholder, there is no denying that the Rivian is the most capable car in our lineup. It has the most towing capacity at 7,700 pounds, the best ground clearance at up to 15 inches, and the best approach angle totaling in at nearly 36 degrees. From the factory, the Rivian R1S is trail ready, and you can confirm that with these tow hooks up front. Next up is cargo volume, and the Rivian R1S has a few cool tricks up its sleeve. The first one is that we have a split tailgate. So the top portion, there we go, is automatic, but then the lower portion is manual, and then you can pull it down like there, and now you actually have some space where you can sit on the back tailgate of your R1S. We also get some cool amenities back here, like a 120 volt power outlet and a cigarette lighter. Back here, we get 17.7 cubic feet of cargo volume behind the third row, and then once you fold the third row, you get 46.7. These are pretty good storage numbers, but the difficult thing is actually folding down this third row. Let me demonstrate. To fold down the third row, you need to pull on these back levers, and then you push the seats forward. That operation, for the most part, is fine. But then comes raising up the seats. To raise up the third row seats, you need to climb up into the third row. And now to get the left one, there we go. Get the headrests up. Or get into the second row, push this lever down, push up the back seat, and then do the same for the other one. And yeah, you basically got to climb back up in here to get these seats up. There's no electronic mechanism that raises them up like you get in some other premium cars. In the Rivian R1S, this is all manual. Up front, the R1S has a power operated frunk, which is really nice to have. You simply press 2 times on the key fob, and then the frunk will open up automatically, revealing a total cargo volume of 11.1 cubic feet. This is big news because if you combine this with the rear cargo area, you get 28.8 cubic feet of total cargo space, and if you fold down the third row, you get 57.8 cubic feet. The R1S is very spacious, and this power front trunk just really helps out with the usability. Behind the Model X's power tailgate, we get 14.8 cubic feet of cargo volume behind the third row, and then with these seats folded, we get 35.2 cubic feet of total cargo volume. These seats are pretty easy to push down. In fact, there's a little button on the back, then you press it, and then fold them down. And that operation, for the most part, is pretty easy. But raising these third row seats up is probably worse than the Rivian. So you have no lever, but that little electronic button. You press it, and then you lift up the seat and open it like so. But just remember, you have to basically get into the second row, so you have to open up the Falcon Wing door, then get inside, and then find the small button, wherever it is. Let's see if I get it right. There we go. Then I lift up the third row seat and then put the headrests back into place. It's just not very easy to do that operation in the Model X. Seriously, this seat configuration was $6,500 when you spec out a new Model X. This should have some sort of electronic mechanism to raise them up automatically. Up front, the Model X has a frunk that delivers 6.5 cubic feet of cargo volume, which is pretty respectable. When you combine this with the cargo area behind the third row, we get 21.3 cubic feet of total cargo volume. With the third row collapsed, we get 41.7 cubes in total. Behind the EV9's power-operated tailgate, we get 20.2 cubic feet behind the third row. We get an easily accessible cargo area, and there's also a 120-volt power outlet. When you fold the third row, you get 43.5 cubic feet of cargo space, and luckily it's very easy to do so. So you simply pull back on the strap, and then the third row will go down very easily. Right there. And then it's totally folded down. But the nice thing about the EV9 is that we get those straps. So to fold up the third row, I just simply pull and then put the headrest back into place. It's a lot easier than in the Model X or Rivian. Up front, the EV9 has a 1.8 cubic foot front trunk. It's the smallest one here, and since this is the all-wheel drive one, it shrinks to 1.8 cubic feet, and the rear-wheel drive EV9s have a little more space up here, but it's really not that competitive when we look at the other cars. In total, we get 22 cubic feet with the third row up, or 45.3 cubic feet with the third row folded down. While this front trunk isn't very big, it still can be convenient if you need to throw your charging cables up here. Our cargo segment winner is easily the Rivian R1S. This has the most cargo space out of all three of these cars, and we get a bunch of nice convenience features like the power-operated frunk, the split tailgate that you can sit on, and the 120-volt power outlet located in the rear. We also get 28.8 cubic feet of cargo space, including the frunk with the third row up, and if you fold the third row down, then you get 57.8 cubic feet of total cargo volume. The R1S is the most spacious option here. Now it's time to check out each of these cars' interiors, and we're gonna start off with the Rivian R1S. Now, as a quick preface, I've adjusted the front seats of all these cars to accommodate me. I'm 5'10", so we just wanted to do that to standardize all these interiors. Now it's third row time. To get into the third row, there is a small button on the top of the second row seat. You press it, and then this will move forward, and then I will have enough space to get inside. So I'll simply climb up on here and then get into the second row like so. All Rivian R1Ss have a 7-seat configuration, and back here it's actually pretty decent. So yes, there isn't a ton of knee room back here. In fact, I probably have a little bit of space just in front of my knees. But honestly, for a third row, this is relatively spacious. These seats are perforated and they feel really nice. They are made out of a synthetic leather material. And we even get some cool features back here. On the sides, there are small cubbies where we can put stuff. We got armrests, cup holders, and there are AC vents on either side. There are 2 USB-C ports back here, one in each side door pocket. And we get our own personal glass roof back here. The only unfortunate thing is that on Gen 1 models like these, we do not get heated seats back here. But other than that, these third row seats are definitely usable for adults. Things get a lot more exciting in the second row of the R1S. First off, we have this massive panoramic glass roof, and the materials are really impressive. For instance, on this entire door panel, we really don't have much plastic at all. We have soft touch material on the upper and lower portion of the door panel, and these really cool wooden accents with hidden ambient lighting. We get these unique seat back pockets with metal accents. There's also a center armrest featuring 2 cup holders, and we can even convert this center armrest into an even larger center armrest where we can throw in skis or other long items. Back here, we also get 4 USB-C ports, 1 in the back of each headrest and 2 in the center console area, and we get a center screen where we can play around with the climate control settings, turn on or off the heated seats, lock or unlock the doors, and adjust the Bluetooth audio. There are also 2 AC vents back here, and we get a 120-volt power outlet located underneath the center console. Finally, we get a decent amount of room back here. If I sit down, I got plenty of knee room, lots of headroom, and it feels pretty comfortable back here. The floor is totally flat, and there's just a lot of space back here. Getting up front, I think you'll notice a few things, and one of those things will be the space. We had a decent amount of room in the third row, good room in the second row, and I have plenty of space up here in the first row. This is simply a very large vehicle, and that translates to a lot of space on the inside. These front seats are power operated, heated, and ventilated for both the driver and passenger, which is a really nice touch. And the premium features continue up here with this really nice wood dashboard. We also get a heated steering wheel, 2 wireless phone chargers. There are also 2 cup holders that are hidden in the center console area, and underneath the center console lid, we get 2 USB-C ports. The R1S also features a premium audio system. On the 2022 model years, the launch editions in particular, you would get a Meridian sound system. Then for the later model years, they offered an optional premium sound system. And historically, I've been very critical of this audio system, but Rivian has recently launched a software update, and this sound experience has gotten significantly better. Before the update, the audio was not very good, but now it has a lot more bass, a lot more depth, and it just feels like a true premium audio system. So hats off to Rivian for launching an update and improving the audio experience, because it has gotten a lot better. Overall, the front seats of the Rivian R1S are really nice. They look premium, they feel premium. We get these cool accents here and there, like these bronze inlays in the dashboard, and we get some cool optional features like a camp speaker. This particular one doesn't have it, but it's around $450 on the website. And then you can have a camp speaker located in your center console that you can pull out and bring to a campfire. We also get some small storage cubbies located underneath the front seats. And I'd say this interior is designed very well and the execution is on point. The next interior we're going to talk about is that of the Model X. And before we do that, we have to open up the doors, and we have the Falcon Wing doors. So we press here on the door handle, button thing, and then the door will open up. And the nice thing about this door is that it's very easy to get inside. So I can easily stand up here and then sit down in the second row. But before we talk about the second row, we got to get into the third row, and there's 2 ways of getting in. The first way to get into the third row is by going between the 2 captain's chairs, and doing that is relatively easy. Boom, I'm in the second row. And then the other way is by pressing this button on the back of the second row seat. It will then move forward. And as I mentioned earlier, with these Falcon Wing doors, it's pretty easy to get inside. And then I simply press this button on the back of the seat. And now I am in the third row of the Model X. Once you're in the back seats of the Model X, you'll realize that these are a lot tighter than what you get in the Rivian. So first off, we do have some nice stuff. We do have Alcantara headliner. We get 2 AC vents, 1 on each side. We also get 2 cup holders and 2 USB-C ports. As you can see, there's not a ton of space for my legs. In fact, if I sit in a more normal position, my knee will be going up against the back of the second row seats. My right leg has plenty of room, so I guess you can sprawl out your right leg, but your left leg will be a little cramped. Thanks to these minimalist captain's chairs, it does feel pretty open and airy back here, and I really appreciate this large open flat floor space. The second row seats back here are pretty nice, though the weird thing is there are no armrests on the inner portions of these seats. So when you're sitting back here, you only get an armrest for your left arm, or if you're sitting in the right seat, your right arm. The materials are really nice back here. We still get the Alcantara headliner and lots of soft touch materials on this whole door panel with some nice wood and aluminum accents. Like the rear seats, the second row seats are heated and perforated. We also get a nice center display back here where we can adjust the audio. We can even watch YouTube videos through the media player, play around with the audio settings, and adjust our climate controls. Below this screen, we get 2 USB-C ports and these cool cup holders that pop out. The space is fine back here. The knee room is a little limited. The headroom is actually pretty decent thanks to glass panels in the Falcon Wing doors. Some stuff is a little weird back here, like we get no seat back pockets. My favorite thing back here is this totally flat floor area. It looks really cool and makes it very convenient if you have a big bag or something like that you need to throw back here. Up front, the Model X has power doors all around, so when you want to get in and drive the car, you simply put your foot on the brake and the driver's door will close automatically. We also get heated, ventilated, and power adjustable driver and passenger seats with memory functionality. We also get a heated steering wheel, 2 cup holders located in the center console area, 2 wireless phone chargers, and 2 USB-C ports. Lastly, the Model X comes as standard with a 22-speaker audio system that was designed in-house, and the audio experience in this car is very, very good. There's a lot of bass and a lot of depth to the sound experience. The materials are quite good. We get some open grain wood in the dashboard, some aluminum accents surrounding that, and lots of soft touch materials all around it. In fact, the center console area is all soft touch materials, and this entire door panel from top to bottom is made out of very nice materials. Even the insides of the door card pockets are made out of this micro suede material, which give this car a very premium feel. To get inside the EV9, we have a very large rear door, which is conducive for getting in easily. We also have automatic retracting door handles, and these door handles are mechanical, just like on the Gen 1 Rivian, so there's no electronic release here. Once the doors open, it's pretty easy to get inside. To get into the third row, there's a button on the top of the second row seat, and you press that, and then the seat will fold out of the way so you can get into the third row. Then getting inside is relatively easy. I am now in the third row of the EV9. The third row seats back here are pretty spacious. The knee room isn't too great, but just like in the Model X, we do have this very open area in the center so you can stretch out your right leg, or if you're in the right seat, your left leg. But it feels pretty good back here. We have a very smooth grained vegan leather. We also get 3 cup holders back here, 2 on the right side, 1 on the left side. There are 2 USB-C ports, 1 on each side, and we also get AC vents. These seats are very nicely stitched, and I could honestly see myself going on a pretty long road trip in the back seat of this car. In the second row, we get a decent amount of space, but there is something more notable than space back here, and that is the amenities. First off, we get this glass roof back here, which adds to the airy, open feeling you get, and you get tons of other stuff. For instance, you get 2 USB-C ports, 1 located on the back of the driver's seat and 1 on the passenger seat, and then it gets crazier. We get 2 cup holders, and then there is a table. So you can pull out this table, so if you want to eat a snack or put your laptop down, you can put it down on there. There's also a small storage cubby located underneath that table, which is pretty cool. You don't get that in a lot of cars. And then it gets even more insane. So we have sunshades, which we can prop up to shield yourself from the sun or prying eyes, and we also get plenty of other really awesome amenities. These seats are heated and ventilated. They are also power adjustable, so they have power recline, power move forward and backward, and you get a thigh extension. So if you want to, you can actually turn this chair into a recliner. So I can recline all the way back, adjust the armrest, and then tilt this seat back a little bit. Let me get that position right. And I can basically take a nap back here. Seriously, we are in a Kia SUV, and this thing basically has recliners in the second row. Finally, the materials back here are pretty good. We get this felt headliner. The door panel is mostly good, but the lower side is pretty much all plastic. And then we do get some plastic in the center console area as well. Up front, the EV9 somehow gets even more luxurious. First off, we have a sunroof, and this one can actually open, so you press this little button, and then the sunroof opens up, which is pretty cool. We also get heated and ventilated front seats, though the driver's seat is massaging and 18-way power adjustable with adjustable bolsters. We get ambient lighting in the dashboard, and we have this really cool center console area that's made out of pretty nice materials. We get this little lid that can slide back, revealing 2 cup holders. We also get a wireless phone charger, and there are 2 USB-C ports located up front. We get a head-up display, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a digital rear view mirror, a heated steering wheel, and a very punchy Meridian sound system. The materials up here are also very nice. The whole door panel feels pretty good, but once again, on the lower portion of that panel, we get more plastic than what you get in the Model X or the Rivian R1S. Finally, there's some cool stuff up here, like this physical volume knob. We also have a fingerprint sensor, so you can put your fingerprint in there to unlock and drive the car. And we get these unique mesh headrests, which feel pretty cool. So overall, I really like it up here. Our interior segment winner is easily the Kia EV9 GT line. This thing has so many interior amenities, it blows the Model X and Rivian R1S out of the water. We get reclining, heated and ventilated second row seats, a digital rear view mirror, a head-up display, and a massaging driver's seat. If I had to choose any of these cars to road trip in today, I'd choose the Kia EV9 because of its wide array of luxury features. Next up is software, and Rivian does it very, very well. Now, one quick point, this is a Gen 1 Rivian, so it's not quite as good as the Gen 2 Rivians, and if you would like to see the differences and what has improved with the Gen 2 software, you can click up there to see our full review of the 2025 Rivian R1T. But nevertheless, it's still really good in these Gen 1 vehicles. So the map is pretty responsive. And when it comes to EV route planning, it's really easy in the R1T. So let's say we want to go to Los Angeles. So we just type in Los Angeles, click go, and then the Rivian will calculate our route all the way down. And already we will see the 2 charging stops we need to make. If we click this button right here, we can see the 2 times we will need to stop to charge, 8:50 p.m. and 10:58, and we can see for exactly how long we'll need to sit there. There's also really cool functionality. For instance, we can press this little settings icon and we can tell the car how much range we want to have when we arrive at our location. So we can raise this up to say 70%, and then it will recalculate our charging stops. It will give us one more charging stop right before we get into LA, and then we will have 70% upon arrival. We can also toggle sites that need an adapter, say if we don't have an adapter on us right now for NACS, and we can even prefer certain networks. So if we want to go only on Rivian's networks, we can click there, EVgo, ChargePoint, Tesla, etc. We also have lots of cool functionality within our climate control. For instance, we can turn on pet mode in case we have a pet sitting in the car while we are running into a grocery store. This can go even further when we go into the camping menu, and now we can have more options. For instance, camp courtesy, where it will turn off all the exterior lights when you're camping, and you can even auto level the car. If you press this button, then it will use the air suspension to make sure this vehicle is sitting flat. Pressing this little drivetrain icon, we can change the various drive modes in the R1S. Now, if you get sport mode, this is only for vehicles that are dual motor performance, tri-motor, or quad motor, so you don't get this in the base dual motor version, but we do have sport mode, which increases the throttle response, and a bunch of other different modes here. What's really cool too is if we, for instance, raise the ride height, then we can see how much ground clearance we have in real time. We can also change the ride feel from firm to soft and adjust the regen levels. And then clicking on this off-road icon, you can press go off-road, then it will raise the ground clearance even higher, and we have more modes like rock crawl, soft sand, drift, and more. What's even cooler is if we swipe this way, we can see a lot more stuff. So we can see our pitch and roll, we can see our PSI, motor temperature, and more. There's also a dedicated towing menu where we can adjust how much weight our trailer has to give us an accurate range estimate. When it comes time to charge the Rivian, we can click on this little charging icon, and then we can adjust our daily charging limits, which are really nice. We can also open the charge port. We can prepare for fast charging, so we can manually precondition the battery pack, and we can adjust our currents if we don't want the car to charge so fast. Overall, this works really well. We also get a graph too. So when you're DC fast charging your car, you can actually see the charging curve in real time, which is really awesome. This charging menu works really well and has all the functionality you would expect. Finally, if you subscribe to Rivian's annual subscription service, I believe it's $149 per year, you can watch YouTube videos while your car is charging, and you even get a hotspot built into the vehicle. There's also Gear Guard, which is part of that, which basically acts as sentry mode while your car is parked. Moving over from this center screen, we have our gauge cluster. There's not a ton going on here, but we can see our map, which is really nice. And when we go into Drive, we will get a little visualization when we're out on the road showing us the nearby cars. Right now, we just have that graphic up there because we are in an off-road mode. If I go back to an on-road, then that goes away. Very minimalist, not a ton of customizability here if we compare this to a BMW or anything like that, but I think it looks really nice. Finally, we have some steering wheel controls so we can adjust volume, skip the song, etc. The one thing I don't love is that they are not backlit, so at night you just have to feel around for the correct buttons. But generally, this infotainment setup is really, really good. The software in the Rivian R1S is top notch. Next, we have the Tesla Model X, and while this car may be aging on the exterior, its software is as good and better than ever. Seriously, the software suite in Teslas is still very far ahead of the competition. Now, first off, just look at this responsiveness on this screen. This one is a 2022 model year running on the AMD Ryzen chip, and it just feels very fluid. Planning out road trips is also super easy. So let's say we want to go to, oh, I don't know, Miami. We just type in Miami, click there, and now our road trip from San Francisco to Miami will be calculated within the matter of seconds. And boom, right there, we got our full road trip, all our supercharging stops. We can see exactly when we need to get in, how long we need to stop at each location, and we got plenty of information when it comes to stall availability. There's also some pre-selected options, so we can go to best amenities or fastest route or fewer stops. So let's say we want to go to places with bathrooms and restaurants and stuff like that, then you might want to do best amenities. If you would like to stop to charge less, you can press on fewer stops, and therefore you will have fewer charging stops, but obviously you will spend more time at the charging stations. Still, when it comes to planning out EV road trips, Tesla is still the best in the business. And it obviously helps that Tesla is the largest charging network provider in the US. We also have Grok built in. Hey Aura, my good friend from high school has become a monk in Thailand and I haven't heard from him in 5 years. Do you think I should check in?
Yeah, I think checking in could be nice. It shows you care, even after all this time. Monks often welcome kind messages. Just keep it light and respectful of his path.
Sounds good. Thank you, Aura. I'm gonna buy a hamburger later this evening.
Nice. Enjoy that burger. Garage on 3rd Street is super close, just 0.3 of a mile away.
The point is, Grok is pretty cool. Other than that, we have a really nice climate control menu. We have bioweapon defense mode. Since this car has a HEPA air filter, we can adjust our heated and ventilated seats. And just like the Rivian, we can turn on dog mode. We can also turn on camp mode to keep the climate at a certain temperature. And we also got the climate keeper as well, in case you're running into the grocery store and just want to keep your car with a cool climate. The Model X also features a toy box with some cool stuff. For instance, we have Tron mode. There's a light show option. We also have a boom box, so you can actually talk to the outside of the vehicle. Hello? And it makes your voice sound extra deep. There's also romance mode, but we are in San Francisco, so that doesn't really happen. And then you can also turn the map into Mars for whatever reason. There's also theater mode, where you can watch Netflix, play YouTube videos, or be a degenerate and scroll through TikTok. In these settings, we can do lots of stuff. We have the Falcon Wing doors, which we can open pretty easily. I'm actually gonna stop that right now. And then we can adjust our ride height and even open up the front doors, which is pretty cool. There's also some pretty cool charging menu stuff in here. For instance, we can adjust our charging limits and even adjust the current. So if we don't want our car to charge as fast, or perhaps we have an older house that we're charging at and we don't want to overload the breaker, then you can turn down the current right there. Finally, we have the software screen, and here you can see which FSD computer the car has, if it has autopilot or FSD, its premium connectivity status, and the current mileage. We also have a gauge cluster display. This will show us our speed, our FSD visualization. We get our battery percentage down here, and also the time. It's pretty minimalist, just like the Rivian, but I think it looks pretty nice. Below the screen, we do have the steering wheel. These buttons are illuminated, though they are haptic. Some people don't particularly love that. For instance, the blinkers are on the left portion of the steering wheel. Same thing for the high beams. Horn as well. On the newer Model X's, it actually changes to this area, but on the older ones, like this 2022, you have the horn right there, which I don't particularly love. But we do have these scroll wheels on the steering wheel, which feel pretty nice, and it's really easy to adjust the volume, go to the next song, and turn on autopilot. Overall, the Tesla Model X just really hits when it comes to software. This car just keeps getting better and better year over year, and we have lots of cool functionality, and I love the AI integration with Grok. The link between hardware and software in this car is very strong. Next up is the software experience in the EV9. Now, I think this is more of a traditional setup, definitely nowhere near to the technological prowess levels you would see in the Model X or Rivian, but it should work fine for most people. For instance, we have our route planner right here, and if we want to plan a route, it's just a little more difficult and tedious than what you see in some other cars. For instance, I just press search, and now you gotta press search again. And now we can type in where we want to go to. Typing in Los Angeles, we can click there. And now we will get our road trip planned down to Los Angeles. Click on route. Then it will calculate our route all the way down. There we go. Now we can see our charging stops, what time we need to get into the charging station at, and for how long we need to stop and charge. It works fine, but it's not like the Tesla or the Rivian where you can just easily adjust how much battery percentage you want at your arrival location. And some of these charging stops are a little weird. Like, you should be coming in with less than 32% battery. And why would we spend 19 minutes here when we're only spending 13 minutes there? Like, I feel like you could just charge up a little bit more because this car has a really good charging curve, and then go down to a further charging station besides that one. But regardless, as you can see, the map is just not super responsive. This is an improvement over the older EV6s with this new general UI, but it's still definitely not up to the level as the more techie automakers out there. We have our home menu here and our EV charging menu there. If we click on there, we can see what our battery percentage is. You can also see some graphs to determine what has used the most amount of electricity. And we also get some AC charging settings. So here we can limit the AC charging current to as low as 60% as what the maximum is. And we have our charging limits too, where we can adjust the maximum percentage we want our vehicle to charge to. The one thing I do really like about this is it shows us the estimated time it will take on an 800 volt and 400 volt charger to reach that certain percentage. Located right below this is our climate control menu, very easy to use. We can increase and decrease the fan speed pretty easily, change the temperature. And then we also have an additional climate control display located right here where we can increase and decrease the fan speed. And we can even go to the driver only setting to reduce energy consumption. Located on this screen, we can also go to the seat menu, and here we can turn on or off the heated seats or ventilation function, and we can even move the back seats from the screen. If we go to the radio menu, we also get sounds of nature, which is one of my favorite things in Kia products and Hyundai products, and also Genesis, is that we have some really cool noises so we can meditate while you're sitting in the car. And Experience the Universe is my favorite track. But now the EV9 has some new sounds like a summer night's rest, autumn sentiments, and warmth in winter. Now all I need is a Yankee Candle in the center console, but actually I wouldn't do that because that could pose a fire hazard. There's also some haptic buttons located underneath the center screen, so if we want to easily access the map, you just click right there, and then we got our map right up. If we want to go to our media, you can click there, and then our audio will once again be presented on the screen. Shifting our focus over to the driver's display, we have our steering wheel located right here with a bunch of very easy to use buttons for adaptive cruise control, lane centering, etc. And we also have our drive mode selector right here. So if we click on this button, then we can go into sport mode. This will also change the ambient lighting color. We can cycle through all the various modes in here. Now, unlike the Kia EV6, we don't really get a distinct gauge cluster design per each driving mode. We just generally get this similar look, but it works pretty well. We can see our speed off to the left, our range. What I really like about this is we have a maximum predicted range and minimum. So if you're driving very gently, then you might be able to get up to your maximum range, but if you're driving like a bat out of hell, then you'll be looking more like your minimum range. Located underneath there is our battery percentage, and off to the right is how much regen we can get. So right now we're in level 1, which is low regen. Then if you press left on the paddle shifter all the way, then you can go into iPedal mode, which is basically one pedal driving. Overall, the software experience in the Kia EV9 is pretty good. I think most people, especially non-techie people, will be very satisfied with this system. And even me as a pretty techie person, I like all the quirky little features in here. Still, it's just not as avant-garde as what you'd get in the Tesla or the Rivian. Oh, and still on the software front, the Kia EV9 has a really cool trick up its sleeve. So this car can summon forward and backward from the key alone. So if you press the drive forward button on the key, you press that, and then the vehicle can move forward or backward from the key fob alone. As for software, the winner is the Tesla Model X. While I think the Rivian software suite has gotten really, really good, It's important to remember that the Tesla just has a more powerful chip on board. The Gen 2 Rivians are a lot better when it comes to onboard processors, but the Gen 1 still falls a little behind the Model X. In its current state, Tesla's ADAS suite is much more advanced, and the integration of Grok is really cool. For instance, I can tell Grok, hey, find me a charging station nearby near a Chick-fil-A, and it can do that for me. In terms of software, Tesla is still king. This 2024 Rivian R1S with the large battery pack offers a 135 kilowatt hour pack, and 131 of those kilowatt hours are usable. We get an EPA range of 321 miles, though we estimate that you would get more like 280 to 290 in real-world driving. We get a peak charging rate of 220 kilowatts, and 10 to 80% should take around 35 to 40 minutes. The Model X gets a 95 kilowatt hour usable, 100 kilowatt hour gross battery pack. We get a peak charging rate of 250 kilowatts, and this can charge from 10 to 80% in around 30 minutes. The Model X has an EPA range of 348 miles, but based on out-of-spec Studio's 70 mile per hour range test, real-world range should be around 330 miles, which is still very respectable. The Kia EV6 has a battery pack that is 99.8 kilowatt hours total, but the really cool trick up its sleeve is that this battery pack is 800 volts. So compared to the Tesla and Rivian, those are 400 volts. This is on a much higher voltage architecture. Since power is the product of current and voltage, if we are taking in the exact same current on a 400 volt battery pack and an 800 volt battery pack, the power would be doubled on an 800 volt. The result is much faster charging time. So this car has a peak charge rate of 240 kilowatts, which is actually a little less than the Model X, but the charging curve is really good. In fact, this car can go from 10 to 80% in just 24 minutes. Now, the one thing to point out is that this can use Tesla superchargers with an adapter, just like the Rivian, but the only trade-off here is that if you are on a V3 supercharger, you will only get the maximum of 100 kilowatts. That's because you will need to step up the voltage on the older superchargers to match the battery pack. You got to use the rear drive unit inverter to do that, and there will be some losses along the way, resulting in a reduced charging time. Still, most chargers out there do supply enough voltage to match the battery pack, but if you are using a supercharger, it's best to try to find V4s. Nevertheless, you get an EPA range of 270 miles, and I anticipate you will probably get close to 270, maybe 260 in real-world driving. Oh, and one more thing, the EV9 has V2L compatibility, so you can plug in an adapter to the charge port here and then offload up to 1.9 kilowatts from the battery pack. What's cool about this is that you can actually level 1 charge another EV from your EV9's battery. That's pretty sweet. Our charging and range segment winners go to the Model X and the Kia EV9. The Model X here has the best charging integration and the best real-world range at around 330 miles. While the EV9 doesn't have as much range compared to either the Tesla or the Rivian, it has the coolest battery pack at 800 volts. We get the quickest charging times, and the V2L functionality is pretty sweet. Therefore, the charging and range segment winners are the Model X and the EV9. Now it's time to talk about warranties. The Rivian R1S with the large battery and quad motor configuration, that one gets a 5-year, 60,000 mile basic warranty paired with an 8-year, 175,000 mile powertrain warranty. The powertrain warranty includes the drive units and the high voltage battery. The Tesla Model X offers a 4-year, 50,000 mile basic warranty and an 8-year, 150,000 mile powertrain warranty. Finally, the Kia EV6 gets a 5-year, 60,000 mile basic warranty and a 10-year, 100,000 mile EV system warranty. This is technically separate from the powertrain warranty Kia offers, but since the powertrain warranty isn't transferable, then you go down to the 10-year, 100,000 mile EV system warranty, but it's basically the same thing and covers all the vital drivetrain components. Now it's time to get these 3 cars out on the road and see how they drive. All right, driving the Rivian R1S. This car is relatively quick with 835 horsepower, so let's see what it feels like. quick. That's insane. All right. Rivian says it can do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and I think everyone can agree that is plenty quick. Now, that was in sport mode, obviously, where the car unlocks more power and has a sharper acceleration response. But the thing is, even when you're at like highway speeds and you floor it, this thing is very, very quick, and we're at like 66% stated charge. The other really impressive thing about Rivian products, and you can check this out with our R1T review we did a few months ago, link up there. These cars have such good handling, it's insane. When you throw a Rivian into sport mode, firm up the ride feel, and then reduce the stability control, it's truly crazy how this transforms into a pseudo sports car. And that's all thanks to really good dampers, air suspension, and torque vectoring, but these cars handle really, really well. The other impressive thing is the NVH in here. When you're at highway speeds, it's a little more noisy than the Kia EV9. In fact, there's a decent amount of wind noise at this A-pillar, but besides that, this car feels very well put together, and it's relatively quiet, all things considered. The throttle tuning in here is on point. It feels very, very natural. It does a great job when you're in a variety of circumstances, coming down to a complete stop, and even on hills. This is a very, very well-tuned and precise one-pedal driving system. The other cool thing about this R1S is that you can decouple the two rear electric motors, so you can drive in conserve mode in front-wheel drive, basically. And then if you do need to accelerate, then it can re-engage them through a clutch. But if you're in conserve mode, you can basically drive this like a front-wheel drive vehicle and then save some energy. One more acceleration pull. So then when you're up to highway speeds, you get some safety features, which is nice. You get a blind spot monitor in the side view mirrors, which are nice to have. And then you get highway assist, and to turn it on, you pull down on the drive stalk 2 times, and then highway assist is on. Now, highway assist is different based on Gen 1 and Gen 2 Rivians. If you get a Gen 2 Rivian, it's a little more advanced. It can do automated lane changes. You can't do that on the Gen 1s, but this basically functions like Tesla Autopilot. It centers yourself in the lane on the highway and then uses adaptive cruise control to keep you a safe distance from the car ahead of you. The only disappointing thing is that this doesn't work on every road, so if you're on some 2-lane country road, it won't work on there, most likely. It only works on a pre-selected group of highways. That said, most of the highways I've driven on, highway assist works, and for the most part, this is a very good system. I like it a lot. One thing to note is that you do not get concurrent steering on Gen 1 Rivians, you only get that on Gen 2s. After having spent some time driving a bunch of different Rivian R1Ss, I really, really like the way that these cars drive. I would say it's just shy of perfection. It does so many things right. It's a really fun car to drive, plenty quick, especially if you get the quad motor powertrain, a good array of safety features, and it's undoubtedly the most capable car in our comparison. The R1S checks basically every single box of what an SUV and a performance car should be. Now we are driving the Model X, and this is the first refresh Model X I've driven with the steering wheel. And I gotta say, I think I like it a little bit better with the wheel as opposed to the yoke. Now, acceleration, this thing makes 670 horsepower. So yeah, it is very quick. The accelerator and brakes in Teslas are just super well calibrated. The steering feel is super adjustable, so you can change it from light to standard to heavy. And I really like having it on the light mode when you're driving through cities. But if you do want to push the car a little bit more, I'd recommend going into heavy mode. I appreciate that you can really change the steering feel in this car just based on the setting. The steering itself is very responsive. It's a little bit better than what you get in a Model 3 or a Model Y, as I think those can be a little, I don't know, twitchy at times, especially on the non-refresh Model 3 and Y, but I think it feels pretty good in the Model X. Yeah, very quick. The one thing about the Model X is that there is a lot more road noise in here than what you get in either the Rivian or the EV9. So it is pretty loud when you're up to highway speeds. You know, you just have a giant glass roof, and the build quality just really isn't up to par with what you get in both of those cars. It's not terrible, but it is a little noisier. The Model X feels planted at highway speeds, and I really appreciate this glass canopy as the visibility is truly incredible. Thanks to its 5,100 pound curb weight, Model X feels relatively nimble. In terms of safety features, you get autopilot as standard, and this has lane centering and adaptive cruise control. It works very well, and if you're driving on the highway for long stretches, it really makes your drives much more enjoyable. Then, if you pay $99 a month, $8,000 up front, or if you're lucky enough to find a used Model X with FSD already installed, then you will have a much higher degree of autonomy. FSD works best on hardware for Model X's, so you'd have to find one that was built after early 2023. And if you get that, FSD works very, very well. Not saying it works poorly in hardware 3, but it's a lot smoother and has much better capabilities on hardware 4. FSD can do everything from city driving, it can stop at stop signs, highway driving, and I've even tested it out on dirt roads and it worked really well. If you're into autonomous driving, you will be really pleased with FSD. Overall, I really like the driving experience in the Model X. It's not perfect, there's a decent amount of road noise, but it is a very, very cool vehicle to drive in. The visibility is amazing, and it just feels like you're driving something very modern. All these years later, the Model X is still a pretty cool car to drive. Driving the Kia EV9 GT line. So one thing with this car that I really respect is just how flat it stays in corners. This is a pretty heavy SUV, yet it feels very composed when you're cutting through corners. And the power delivery is also really good, especially at lower speeds. The GT line makes 379 horsepower, but it does weigh 5,700 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. Still, we get pretty decent acceleration. It's really quick in the lower speed range, like I said, but once you get up to like 50, 60 miles per hour, it definitely feels a lot more sluggish than the Model X or the Rivian R1S. Regardless, the steering feel is pretty nice. It's not too light and it's not too heavy. It's just in that sweet spot range, and the steering feel is very natural. We get regen paddles on both sides of the steering wheel, and on the left side it increases it, on the right side it decreases it, and we have 4 total levels, 0 all the way up through 1 pedal driving. And in 1 pedal driving, it is true, 1 pedal driving brings you down to a complete stop. I gotta say, it's pretty smooth, especially when you're going from just a few miles per hour to 0. It's a really nice transition to a complete stop. Now that said, one thing I don't particularly like about it is that there is a little lag from when you let off the accelerator, like right now, to actually regenning. So you let off the accelerator thinking you're gonna slow down, and then it just keeps going for a little bit, and then you finally get that regen. It's not quite as responsive in terms of the instantaneous regen when you let off as you would get in a Model X. The overall noise in the cabin is very, very low, which I love. There's not much tire noise and very low wind noise. I really like that about this car. It's very quiet when you're cruising down the highway. The EV9 also has a lot of safety features. We get HDA 2.0, so when you turn this on, you get adaptive cruise control and lane centering. You can take your hands off the wheel for around 30 seconds and it will continue to do its thing. And I think it does a really good job of keeping you centered in the lane. It's also concurrent steering, so if I want to steer to the left or right portion of the lane, I can do so, then let go, and then once again, we will be centered. But HDA 2.0 has automated lane changes. So if I want to change lanes, I can simply put on my blinker and then the car will automate that function. I can try it right now. Put on my blinker. Okay, now it's not doing it. And honestly, I will say this automated lane change has been a little wonky. Sometimes it is very aggressive when you do that automated lane change, which I don't particularly love. Other than that, I really like HDA. It's one of my top safety features you can get in a car. It just works really well in a lot of environments. And plus, when you get the GT line like this, you do have a head-up display, so you can see the visualization of all the other cars on the road right ahead of you. Oh, and one other thing, we do have active sound design that you can turn on and off, and if I turn that on to largest change, okay, that's actually a pretty cool noise. All right, so I really like the driving experience in the EV9. It's comfortable, the power delivery is pretty good. We also get lots of cool features like HDA and the head-up display, and this sums to a very, very solid driving experience. The EV9 doesn't go over the top in terms of performance or anything, but it's a very, very pleasant car to go on a drive in. Our driving segment winner goes to the Rivian R1S. This is the most capable car here with the best ground clearance. You can have the most fun with this car by taking it on off-road trails, and it's also the quickest. This can accelerate from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. And that doesn't even mention this car's killer traction control and the fact that if you disable traction control, this thing can be plenty of fun on back roads, which is really surprising for a 6,700-pound SUV. If I had to take any of these cars on a joyride, I would definitely go with the R1S. Rivian, Tesla, and Kia. Let's tally up the points. We got 3 points for the Rivian R1S, 2 points for the Model X, and 2 points for the EV9. That would make the Rivian R1S the winner. And generally, I think the R1S is the most impressive vehicle here, but it's important to remember that this is the most expensive on the used market. This particular one is $70,000, which is about $20,000 more than the EV9 or the Model X. With that, if you're looking for the best of the best, the most capable all-electric SUV, you should probably go with the Rivian R1S. But that doesn't at all invalidate either the Model X or the Kia EV9. In fact, if you're looking for the best overall road tripper with the best technology and just frankly a bunch of cool features like the Falcon Wing doors, the Model X is still a fantastic car. The Model X has the best real-world range out of all these vehicles, and thanks to the supercharging network, planning out your road trips is a breeze. And then we have the Kia EV9, which is the most luxurious car here. The luxury features for the price in this vehicle are truly mind-blowing, and we get an 800-volt battery architecture and the fastest charging times out of all of these SUVs. If you're looking for the most comfortable and premium feeling electric SUV and you want to keep it under 50 grand, you absolutely will not go wrong with the EV9. The big takeaway here is that you have lots of choices on the used EV market. Do you want capability, tech, or premium features? And now there's an option for everyone if you're looking for a 3-row electric SUV. If you enjoyed today's video, please only allow your kids to watch Evercars Official on YouTube, as they will grow up and become electric vehicle experts. Alternatively, you can press the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.